G'day, it's Robbie here from Ensley Coins, and today I wanted to talk about how you can go about buying your coins safely and in a secure way. You need to be very sensible about buying coins. There are certainly a lot of fakes and forgeries around. For example, with pre-decimal coins, almost all key dates have been faked and have forgeries around. In terms of gold, there's fake gold around. I don't tend to see much of it, but it's certainly in the market. And in terms of things like, even rolls of coins, there are certainly rolls that are manipulated. I don't want to go into the specifics of how these things are achieved, but I think it's important for collectors to know that they exist. So let's start with rolls and bags. So with a roll, the only time you will be certain about what you get is if you buy a RAM roll on release, especially through a reputable seller. It's the closest you'll ever get to knowing what's inside that roll. Nobody can see inside that roll. Nobody can say for sure. I think it's disingenuous to say that you know what's inside any roll, because until you've opened it, that's just not the case. So buying RAM rolls on release is certainly the most certain purchase you can make. Following that, if you're buying coins or rolls after they've been sold some years down the track, my advice would be go to a reputable seller. If I sell a roll of coins and somebody opens it up and it doesn't contain what they do, my reputation will be affected, and that's just a horrible outcome for the business. So if I'm going and buying, say, 5 rolls of coronations, I will, as a condition of sale, want to open one at random. I'll ensure that has 25 of them in there. I might sell those as single, but I will certify as best as I can that the rolls are what they say. In terms of rolls, I'll also ask questions. I'll say, when did you get this? How much did you pay for? Tell me the story. I try to get as much information as possible, and I make certain judgment calls from that information. Is the person somebody I think is ethical? What's their background? What are they up to? And you ask questions. You're the buyer. You ask all the questions you want. I'll inspect the rolls. I'll make sure that I don't think the edges have been played with or there's been a manipulation. I'll make sure that the rolls are correct for the time period that the coins are claiming to be. So, for example, it's a Chubb roll in 2013. Those type of things. And you use various bits and pieces to put together a narrative and a story where you can go, okay, this is starting to make sense, or no, this doesn't look right, and I'm out of it. Also, people who have the genuine article are quite often happy to make you the guarantee that if you open it and it doesn't contain what they say it will, they will give you your money back, or they'll certainly, we do that if you can prove it in a video. We would do that. The other thing is that they might often allow you to say, look, I'm not paying you until I've opened this, to make sure. And if they're allowing you to do that, you can be relatively sure that it is what it is. When people start saying, "Oh, look, there's no guarantees with these," well, that's when it's time to head for the hills. The other thing is just common sense. Rolls that are worth more are more likely to be tampered with because there's greater financial gain. Rolls that are red poppy coronations, there's certainly been rolls that have been found there to be illegitimate. And the reason people do it is there's a great deal of money in faking these rolls and in doing that. There's thousands of dollars of profit to be made. So as you move up a scale in terms of price, just be aware that the incentive goes up for these things to be tampered with. And the person you're buying from might have no idea it's tampered with or isn't the genuine article, but the incentive does go up for that type of activity, and that's something you need to be aware of. Talking about gold can be faked and is faked all the time. So I think one of the best pieces of advice is, again, buying from reputable people, people with a background. Gold is relatively easy to verify. There are certain methods that we use to see it's a genuine article. For example, with things like a sovereign, you know the weight of a sovereign is 7.98 grams, give or take a couple of grams, depending on where in these type of things. But you know the weight of a sovereign, and you know the diameter of a sovereign, and you know how wide it's meant to be. Now, gold's a very dense metal, so it's quite difficult to actually replicate without using other precious metals. Often you'll find the fake sovereign, for example, that the coin's far too thick. It might be twice as thick as it's meant to be. And if you're dealing in sovereigns on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, you're far better at being able to detect these sort of issues than you would be otherwise. You know the designs of the coins. There's all sorts of things. There's just, again, buying from somebody who knows sort of what they're doing is very beneficial in that case. Look, I would advise everyone who's interested in buying gold to buy some micro scales that are very sensitive, that weigh things that are under 100 grams. It's a lot of gold if it's more than 100 grams. So you want to have the ability to measure the weight and also to measure the sort of height and width of the coin, and know the specifications, know the normal specifications for those coins. Those are really important. Now, in terms of forgeries, like pre-decimal forgeries, there are certain ways people go about it. Again, I don't want to go into too much detail about the actual process of how these forgeries are made, but you can alter dates. You can make forgeries. Essentially, you can just make a copy of the coin. You can basically do that. And people do it in surprising things. I mean, I've seen fake 1966 50-cent silver coins. And they're not a valuable coin, but people do fake them. So they're all over the place, and you just need to be conscious of it. And again, buying from reputable people is the best thing you can do. I always say it, but building relationships, it's everything. It doesn't have to be with a coin dealer, but it should be with somebody who's reputable in the industry. You can also send coins in to get authenticated by PCGS, or you could ask a coin dealer their opinion. But I would say that PCGS would be the gold standard, as it's a third party process by which the coin dealer has no say and you don't. You send it off for a sort of independent judgment. That's a great way to sort of, if you're worried you have a forgery, sort of putting your mind to rest, or actually finding out you do, unfortunately. Assess the seller. Always assess the seller. Always see who you're dealing with. Very important. Know the coin you're buying. Look at the dimensions, the specifications, what it's looking like, what it's meant to look like. Figure out the design, the obverse, the reverse. Figure out what the coin should look like, the characteristics of the coin. That will give you a level of protection from buying forgeries and fakes. Although some forgeries are very strong. So that's not a foolproof method by any means. We're talking about coins and rolls. I would suggest if you're a new person getting into collecting, I would buy bags instead of rolls. The reason is you can see all the coins. So if you buy a bag of 25 coronations, you can go, yep, there's 25 there, count them up. You know what you're getting, whereas with a roll, you can't do that. People will say that those coins won't grade as high. Now, while I don't have any academic evidence to suggest that's the case, I suspect it is true because coins move around in bags and it makes logical sense. But I think you offset that with the security of mind. And especially if you're a new collector, I think it makes a lot of sense. And just always be sensible. Always be sensible. All right, well, thanks for watching. Please visit us at ensleycoins.com or feel free to send me an email at ensleycoins@gmail.com. Thank you very much.